what's up, everybody? I'm Bob Walters. This is Locked Up Sports Live Mets pregame show, and a rough one last night for the Mets. It was a good comeback, but they fell short, and the Mets have just been falling short a lot, very often, a lot lately. And I mean, listen, Manaea's got to be better, obviously, but on top of that, the Mets come all the way back. It's tough to blame Alonso for that ninth inning, right? Because he's 4 for 4 going into that at bat. Do you really expect him to go 5 for 5? I mean, is that what you're expecting out of there? I know he's the big hitter and on the power on the team, and it felt like a grand slam was coming because of just everything. He's had a great night. He's one away from tying Strawberry. You just feel like a grand slam is in the works right there in that ninth inning, a walk-off grand slam to tie Strawberry for the all-time home run record of the Mets' all-time home run record. But I mean, on top of everything, he got overmatched. He was overmatched, and that at bat should have never happened because you got to send Taylor on the play before. You just have to send him. You have to make the Guardians make the play, make the throw, and they didn't do that. They held him at third, and the third base coach, and I don't really know anything about him, and I've been at a lot of games this year, almost all the games, the home games this year, and he's done that a couple times. He's very conservative when it comes to sending runners in big spots, and he was conservative again last night, and it ended up costing them. And listen, I can see the other side of the coin where, okay, why are we taking a chance sending Taylor? Well, it was probably a 50-50 that he gets thrown out or that he gets, or that he scores the winning run. But at that point, you have the Guardians on the ropes. You've come all the way back from 5-0 down, and you've tied the game, and you got a ball into the right field corner and a chance to win the game by sending Taylor. Make them make the play. That's what I say. Make them make the play, absolutely, without a doubt. And they didn't. They held him at third, and of course, Alonso comes up, strikes out, and the inning is over. Now, there were good things last night, and there were bad things last night. And this team, that's kind of the way it's been now for a couple months with the Mets, right? They've been mediocre at best for the better part of 2 months now. And it's really, they got off to a great start, and they've been nothing but mediocre since. Let me just bring the comments up here. So, I mean, I don't know, if they're an average team or if they are overrated, but kind of all the Mets fans' fears going into this season have kind of come to fruition, right? You had the bullpen with a great start. They fell off and they just got terrible. So now you got a fully revamped bullpen that's got to kind of learn on the fly here and get used to everything going on the fly. You got the starting pitching, which we were all concerned about, was fantastic through the first couple months into into probably like July. And then that has fallen off now with the injuries. The injuries have finally started to catch up with the Mets, especially on the starting staff. Manaea last night, he was good for 4 innings. And I'm somebody who sat here, I bitched and moaned about Mendoza taking him out too early. He didn't let him pitch the extra inning 2 starts ago. And then last night, he leaves him in the 6th inning, and what happens? He blows up. I went to get something to drink. I came back. I sat in my seat. It was 0-0. 7 minutes later, it was 5-0. The big blast, of course, the 3-run home run. And then they get Manaea out of there. And the bullpen pitched well. You can't. I mean, listen, Diaz wiggled himself out of a jam. Roberts wiggled himself out of a jam. And they got out of it. They kept the game tied. They got it into extra innings, and that's really all you could ask when you're down 5-0. Now, the problem, like I said, and I know you want to say Alonso's got to get a fly ball there. He was swinging out of his shoes. He was absolutely swinging out of his shoes. He felt the grand slam coming as much as we all felt the grand slam coming last night, and you could see it. He was overmatched. He was overmatched in the at-bat. He had a great game, though. It's hard to blame somebody that goes 4 for 5 with a 3-run home run, it's hard to blame to pin a loss on that. Now, the bad things that happened, of course, we could all sit there, and I would imagine most of you will say that, listen, he should have sent them. He should have sent Taylor, right? Make him make the play. Make him make a throw. Complete the play. Tag the guy at the plate and end the inning there. But, like I said, you have Alonso coming up, and he's 4 for 4. He's red hot. I think everybody kind of felt the grand slam, the 3-run homer that he hit, that he was 4 for 4. He was going to get a 5-hit game. But you can't expect someone to get a 5-hit game. And then, of course, in the 10th inning, the Mets start throwing the ball around the infield. And Beatty, was it the right play to throw to second? I think it was the right play to throw to second because he would have been out with a good throw. And I'm not going to let Lindor off the hook either. I think it's just as much Lindor on that play as it is Beatty's throw, right? It's the same thing here, and I have it here. Where is it? Okay. So I think it's just as much Lindor's fault. You got to catch this. First of all, it's a bad bunt, right? Second of all, yeah, the throw's into the runner. Lindor's got a tough play there, but it hit his glove. You got to make that catch. That's just bottom line. The ball hits your glove. Lindor's got to make that catch. There's nothing else you could say. Beatty's got to make a better throw too. And listen, that doesn't help out Beatty in the third base competition that they got going on. Certainly doesn't help him out. Help out his cause. And listen, if you listen to the show, you know that I'm not a Beatty guy. I just never have been. I think he's up and down. He gets some big hits here and there. He's a liability at third base on defense. And when you have a liability at third base and in an infield position, anywhere in the infield position, the ball finds him, is what happens in big spots. The ball will find them in big spots, and it did last night. That's a terrible bunt, by the way. It could, if he was playing in, he might even have had to play to catch the ball. So it falls in front of him. He gets it. He throws it into the runner. And listen, you're a big league third baseman. You got to make a better throw than that. You're a big league shortstop or second baseman. You got to make the catch. So both of them are to blame. And the problem with that is it set them up for a big inning and give the Helsley all the credit in the world. He worked his way out. He gave up only the 1 run after that. Because now bases loaded, nobody out, 6-5 Guardians, 10th inning. You expected now they could just blow the game wide open. Helsley bared down. He got the outs that he needed. He let only 1 more run score, which is not terrible. Right? Bases loaded, 1 out. They only got 1 run. They led by 2. And then, the Mets just couldn't do anything. And even in the last at bat, I'm not positive. Maybe it was Terrens with the game on the line in the bottom of the 10th inning. He hit that ball. It looked like a pop up off the bat to right field, and it just carried into the corner. And he just missed it. It turns out he just missed it. But just the way that they lost that game, it's just indicative of the way they've been playing. Right? They play good. They play tight. They have comebacks. But they fall just short. And Manaya's got it. Like I said, Manaya's got to be better. And we got Clay Holmes coming in pitching today. Clay Holmes has got to be better. His numbers look good, but overall he's got to be better. He hasn't been good the last couple starts. And then you got Montas, who stinks. And everybody, and the entire fan base is just dying to get Sproat, McLean, and Jonah Tong up here. And listen, they all 3 belong up here. Now, they're not going to bring all 3 and just plug them right into the rotation and just overhaul this rotation. That's not going to happen either. Because they're not going to do that. They're not going to go into September with 2 or 3 guys brand new in the rotation. It looks like it's going to be McLean to get the first call up. And I can live with that. That's fine. Jonah Tong just hit AA. All right, and he's slaughtering it down there. They can't touch him. He's electric. He's got electric stuff, and so does Sproat. Sproat had that 50 or 40 scoreless inning streak just a couple weeks ago. He's dominating AAA. You're going to see McClain, and I think what's going to happen here, I think Montas is going to go out there one more time. He's going to stink it up because he stinks. He's going to be relegated probably back to the bullpen or taken out of the staff because I don't like the whole 6-man rotation thing. I really don't. I don't like when you go with a 6-man rotation. I just don't think, I know Senga likes it and it's the whole thing, but I just don't think it works. I think it screws everybody up because the rest of the staff is used to pitching every 5th day, and now they got an extra day. And I think that you don't want to screw around with that at all. And I think you're going to see McClain and Sproat come up. I think one of them will probably go to the bullpen, and I think one of them will be plugged into the starting rotation. But now the caveat to that is it could be both of them. Because if Clay Holmes goes out and stinks tonight, and he gives up 7 runs or 6 runs. I mean, these games aren't even close lately. Don't forget, just 2 days ago, we had Torrens on the mound pitching the 9th inning or the 8th inning. And this is supposed to be a team that's heading to the playoffs, and now they're a game and a half back. And, you know, baseball's that kind of a long season, so you gotta, you know, and I'm guilty of it as much as anybody of sitting here going, okay, now this is a key time. This is a key time of the season. The Phillies and the Mets are going to go down to the wire with this thing. It's probably not going to get more than 3 games, maybe 4 games lead for either team at any point. I just don't. Now I don't see it. Phillies are a good team. They now have shored up the back of their bullpen. They are playing well. The Mets are have been playing mediocre, and they've lost 6 out of 7. So I mean, how? You know, they really let the Phillies back in it. There's been a couple times where I thought the Mets were going to run away with it. And what do they do? They have one of these stretches where they just come back to the pack and they end up back and forth with the Phillies. And, you know, the Marlins, yes. And I know I had somebody today who told me, oh, watch out for the Marlins. Listen, the Marlins are playing good. The Marlins are exceeding their expectations, far exceeding their expectations this year. But they're a 500 team. They're not a threat to the Mets or the Phillies here and the division lead or anything like that. So you get that out of your head if you're somebody who thinks that. But to have the game on the line a couple times last night and just not being able to come through, and you can't have Alonso carry this team. And you can't blame him when he comes up to the plate in the 9th inning. Yes, all you need is a fly ball, but you can't blame him. He's 4 for 4. He was basically the entire Mets offense. It's the same story. They can't hit with runners in scoring position. They can't. They just can't do it. I don't know if it's in their head. I don't know what it is, but they can't bear down and do what they have to do at the plate to have productive at-bats with runners in scoring position. And that will kill your team. You can't be leaving runners at 2nd and 3rd. Get the bases loaded and only push across a run. You know, when you need a fly ball, it's a different kind of at bat. If you're up at the plate with less than 2 outs, runner on 3rd, it's a different at bat. That you have to have a different approach to that at bat, and the Mets don't seem to do that. They don't have. There's no situational hitting on this team. And there hasn't been all year, and that's why they struggle with runners in scoring position. Now, Mendoza yesterday, listen, I think it was in it was either in the 8th or the 9th inning when Torrens came up, bases loaded. It might have been the 10th inning. I forget. Whatever it was. But I would have pinch hit for him there. I'm not putting the game on Torrens' shoulders there to hit, you know, to get a base hit when I need one. And they did that. They relied on it at the bottom of the order, and he didn't come through. And then as far as the defense goes, I mean, you just got to be better. If you're Beatty, I don't want to see. I'd much rather Vientos there, and now I'm starting to side with Vientos, who was upset about a week or so ago about oh, I want to be out there all the time. They know how I feel. He looked like, he's sounding like somebody. He was sounding like somebody who had a real problem with the fact that he's not in the lineup every day, thought he deserved to be in the lineup every day. And I sat here in this chair and I said, I don't know. I don't know about that, Vientos. You haven't been very good. But you know what? He has been good lately. And you got to put him in the lineup. I wouldn't have him at DH. I would have him playing third base. I know he's not great at third base. And I'd much rather have Mauricio at third, too. I just feel like Beatty just is not a clutch player. And last night, that throw is unacceptable from a big league third baseman. And Lindor's got to make that catch, too. If the ball hits your glove, I know it's into the runner. I know he's bearing down on you, but there's no excuse. The game's on the line. The game's on the line because if Lindor makes that catch or Beatty makes that throw, they don't score any runs in that inning. And that is almost a death knell for a team because you got to get the one run in. Anything after that is gravy, right? You get the one run in and you hope you got to try and get 2 runs because you're starting with a guy in scoring position and nobody out. That's what you're starting with. So that's really what you got to get 2 runs there. And the Guardians did. And look what happened. They won the game. They wouldn't have won the game with 1 run. So they did what they needed to do. And they get the win. And tonight it's back at it for these 2 teams. And tonight's an important game. It's an important game. 1 for Clay Holmes. It's an important because it looks like Clay Holmes. It looks to me, and I'm sure it looks to you, like Clay Holmes has hit a wall. It feels like, we talked about it in the beginning when the Mets decided to make him a starter, that what's going to happen late August, September, is he going to hit a wall? Is he going to be, nope. Is he going to hit a wall? Is he going to, he's going to pitch more innings than he's ever pitched. And he's at that point now. And the last couple starts, he's hit the wall. And he hasn't pitched well. He's pitched 3 innings, and then he kind of falls apart. The numbers look great. He's 9-6, 3.45 ERA. And he looks like a solid, 3 or 4 starter. But that's when you look at the numbers. When you look at the performance and you watch it, the eye test, it looks like he's tired. His fastball's up. He's just logged too many innings. But you have, and Manaea, as far as Manaea goes, listen, you can't be begging for innings, begging to pitch in the 6th inning, upset that you didn't pitch in the 6th inning the last game, and then go out and throw up a stinker in the 6th where 7 minutes it goes from 0-0 to 5-0. His control was good. Manaea was not bad last night. He just blew up in the 6th inning. 3 strikeouts. You'd like to see a little more than 3 strikeouts, but he wasn't bad, right? That game was a tight pitcher's duel through 5 innings. And then it fell apart with Arias hitting the big 3-run home run, and the Mets kind of just, falling apart there for an inning. You can't lose your focus if you're a starting pitcher. That 3rd time around the order, especially that 3rd time around the order, they've seen you now twice. They know the stuff you have tonight. They know what you've been throwing, and you get a good hitter up there like Arias, and he's going to hit a fastball 400 feet, and that's what he did. 5-0. And Pete Alonso can't be the only one coming, providing power like that. Now Pete he's gonna eventually tie Strawberry. It could be tonight. It could be, it could be on the road trip coming up, but he's good, and I know it could probably get into him a little bit. It's not a huge, record thing. It's not a baseball record thing. It's not anything like that, but it is something that, has kind of got to him a little bit. And it got to him a little bit in the 9th inning because I don't think he had the right approach coming into that at bat. Now he's 1 homer run, 1 away from tying Strawberry, 2 away from holding the record. And it's a big deal for the Mets. I don't really see it as that big of a deal. I think people are making a bigger deal of it than it really is. So I just want to I want him to get it over with. I'd like him to hit two tonight and just get it over with. because let's be real, it's the Mets home run record. The Mets don't even have a player ever in their history that hit 300 home runs. So it's not like it's a 400-something home runs record or it's a 500th home run. It's nothing like that. It's 53 home runs. Or 200, yeah. 253 would give him the record. So, let's be real. It's not the million home runs. It's not the greatest record ever. Get it over with. Get it in behind you. And then focus on winning games, because the Mets got to win games. You can't be losing 6 out of 7. And this has kind of gotten lost in the whole thing about how average the Mets have been for the better part of 2 months. They kind of fell apart in July, right? They got it back towards the end. But even before that, the Mets were not, if it wasn't, they've been, riding the coattails of this hot start and the fact that they played real well at home for about 2 or 3 months. The fact that the bullpen was so good in the first quarter of the season and the starters were over exceeding what their expectations were. And now it's kind of baseball's kind of saying, all right, you play to your back your baseball card here. And they're all coming back down, crashing back down to their baseball card. But, Senga he's hopefully, he's coming back, and the rotation, it just is not as good as prescribed, I think. And we all knew that going into the season. We all knew that it was going to be a questionable, is it a good rotation? Can this rotation hold up? And we thought it could. And now we're sitting here going, well, you know what? Maybe it doesn't hold up. I'm not sure it can hold up. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But we got a new thing here going on. We're going to let you guys come, join the show. If you want to call, all you have to do is scan that QR code right there, bottom left of the screen. Scan the QR code. It'll give you, just hit open, and it'll basically call the show. So if you have something to say, something to add, as far as the Mets go, and what do you think? Who do you blame for last night's loss? Do you blame Manaea? Do you blame Alonso for not getting the hit, not being able to put the ball in the air? Do you blame the third base coach for not sending Taylor there in the 9th inning? There's a lot of questions and a lot of blame to go around. So if you want to call into the show, just scan that QR code. It's very simple. It's self-explanatory. You type your name in and it just comes right in to the show, and we will, we love to talk to you guys. So tonight let's get to the lineup for tonight. Here's the lineup for tonight's game. We'll see what they got going. Where's the lineup? Let's see. Hold on one second. Where's the lineup? All right, I can't find the lineup right now. Oh, there it is. So the lineup for tonight, it's going to be, you got Marte in the leadoff spot, which is different. Marte is he's trying to provide a spark here. You got Lindor hitting second. Marte came up yesterday. He didn't get it done. He pinch hit yesterday. Lindor hitting second. Soto third. Alonso fourth. Nimmo fifth. Vientos now at third base. See, now this is what I like. I like that Vientos is at the third base spot, because you can't have plays like that if you're going to be a good baseball team in the major leagues. You can't have the third baseman. It's like a 75-foot throw that he had to make last night, and he couldn't make it. And you're not going to bench Lindor, and you're not really benching Beatty, but you're going with a better player here. Vientos, third base, so he's hitting sixth. Seventh is McNeil at second. Alvarez behind the plate. Taylor is in center field, so no Mullins tonight. Mullins also had a chance to win the game last night, but he couldn't come through. Listen, the Mets, nobody on this team or in this lineup gets hits with runners in scoring position, and that includes Alonso, and it includes Soto. Alonso kind of covers it up for him because he hits 1 million home runs. And I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm blaming Alonso, because I'm not. But, you got to be better with hitting with runners in scoring position. You just do. And, I don't know. So Jeff Wilson, how about them Red Sox? He says that's my family member of mine upstate. Hey Jeff, how you doing? Listen, tonight, let's go out there. Let's get a win tonight, right? Come on. You want to get Clay Holmes to pitch a decent game. right? You don't want him to be the way he's been the last couple starts because him and Montas are one start away from the bullpen because you got this entire fan base is sitting here going, what do we got to do to get Sproat up here? What do we got to do to get Jonah Tong up here? I mean, they're calling for Jonah Tong. He's in Double-A. He's coming. Don't worry, he's coming up here. But dude, you got to remember, they don't jump from Double-A to the major leagues. That just doesn't happen. And Jonah Tong's going to be no different. He's not coming up here this week. Sproat, McLean, okay. But you also got to remember, these are two kids coming up. Basically, it's going to be their major league debut. You're going to plug them into a pennant race and expect what? Them to just shine? Because that just doesn't happen. And we know, you know better than that, Mets fans. You know better than that. You know that that doesn't happen. We've watched it a million times. We saw Beatty come up a couple of years ago against the Braves in the middle of a pennant race, and he was terrible. Because it's a lot of pressure. It's the major leagues. It's their dream coming true as they come up to the big leagues. So I like the Marte in the leadoff spot tonight. I do. I like it. I think Marte is a professional player. He's a professional hitter. He knows he's been around forever. He still has some speed. He's been red hot recently, and when he's kind of a platoon now. He's a bench player. He's good coming off the bench. I like him off the bench. That's why I like Marte, because he is getting a little old. His knees are bad. He's not great in the field. I like Marte, though, getting the spot start, and I like him in the leadoff spot. I think he could really get things going. They put Nimmo back down to fifth. Lindor's sitting in that second spot. Lindor hasn't let off really consistently in a while. I don't know if Mendoza's kind of getting away from that, or if Mendoza is just, sticking with the lineup that he's going with Lindor in the two spot. He's put the two spot has been Mendoza's spot to get people going in the lineup who've been struggling. Now Lindor's hit better recently, but when he was struggling, he plugged Lindor right into the second spot. Vientos was struggling, plugged him into the second spot for a couple games. So we'll see if Vientos can get a hit tonight. It is Clay Holmes, 9-6, 3.45 ERA. Logan Allen, 7-9. The Mets, listen, they got to start winning games. You can't be losing, 6 of 7, 7 of 8. You can't do that if you're in this pennant race. I don't think either team's really going to create any distance between each other. I think it's going to be Mets and Phillies, back and forth. A million lead changes. It's going to be like a basketball game. It's just going to be, back and forth. One week, the Mets will have a 2-game lead. 1 week, it'll be a game and a half for the Phillies. And it's just going to go back and forth. But when you get down to crunch time at the end, then they got a series with the Phillies coming up in, I think, 2 weeks. Which will be a big series. But it's just going to be back and forth like that, I think, until down to the wire. That's just the way it's going to be. It's the way it's looking. The Phillies are a good team. The Mets have a good team. Are they overrated? That's the question I asked on the cover there. I said, are the Mets overrated? I think they could be. I certainly don't think they're the best team in baseball, which a lot of people were having them as, just 2 months ago. Because I think that we're seeing all the deficiencies here, and they're all just kind of boiling to the top. You got the starting staff not as good as they were. They were pitching over their head with all the injuries for the majority of the season. The bullpen was way in over its head. They were the best bullpen in baseball for the first month and a half of the season, and then it just right down, which is expected. I mean, what you think BASEMAN was going to be getting guys out in big games and big spots in September and August? And no, that wasn't going to happen. Now they've revamped the bullpen. It's a totally new bullpen, and they've looked good. Looks better than what the Yankees have, right? The Yankees have already sent the guy that they got at the trade deadline down to the minors. Bird is down in the minors. Judge is coming back today, but the Yankees are in a deeper hole than the Mets are right now. I mean, they swept by the Marlins. Lose last night in extra innings. You got Judge coming back as the DH. What are they going to do with Stanton? Because Stanton is a problem when you put him in the outfield. And Stanton just gets hurt when you put him in the outfield. So interesting stuff. It's kind of a low point right now for both the Mets and the Yankees over this last, basically since the All-Star break, for the Mets at least. Been very average. This team has been very average. And listen, the atmosphere at Citi Field, and I'm there night after night after night. I think I'm going to go tonight. Night after night after night, and it is just electric. Citi Field is the best party in baseball right now. And that's how it is around here. When the Yankees are like that, it's more of a corporate feel. But when the Mets are good, it's like a party. It's a party at Citi Field. You got a band playing out in the parking lot every single night. You got full house. I went in there last night in the third inning. I kind of looked around and I was like, you know what? It's a small crowd tonight. It was 37,000 or 35,000. There was a couple seats in the upper deck. It was Monday night? But they're still almost selling out. They got fireworks going on all that. It's just the relief pitching change when the opposing team makes a pitching change. That's my favorite thing, with the train going around and the get pitch black in the stadium. Citi Field has been electric, and the Mets fans deserve all the credit in the world because we have made that place rock this year. But they're starting to feel the turn. You could feel it, that this team's not playing well. They're worried about this. The starting staff needs a jolt in the worst way. That's why everybody's begging for these kids to come up. Because when the kids come up, it's going to be, oh, here we go. Here's our future. Generation K. Remember this? Generation K. But I don't know if it's going to be like that. Like I said, you got to remember, they're going to be kids coming up for their first major league experience. And historically, when you throw someone into a pennant race, they generally do not perform as well as they will perform for the remainder of their career. Just the way it is. So be careful what you wish for. Hopefully we can get Clay Holmes. Hopefully Clay Holmes isn't, burnt out here. If he's burnt out, he's going to have to get off the rotation because there's really no fixing burnt out. He doesn't have a rubber arm. He's pitched more innings than he's ever pitched. And we'll see. Lindor's got to hit better. Soto's got to hit a little bit better. Nimmo's been fantastic. Vientos is starting to look like the Vientos from last year. We revamped the bullpen. Listen, it's going to be interesting and it's going to be fun. Every night is a big game at Citi Field, and that's all you can ask for, right? We've been in many situations, Mets fans, where we were just terrible at this point in the season, and it was a dead Shea Stadium or a dead Citi Field, but it's not. We got a party atmosphere. It's electric. It's big games every night where people are into every pitch. It's a playoff atmosphere every night at Citi Field, and that's all we could ask for. We didn't even expect this team to be, a juggernaut this year, but they have been. So we're about an hour from first pitch. I'm going to go get ready, go get my baby up. I am going to get my ass out to Citi Field for tonight's game. Clay Holmes, Logan Allen, 7:10. If you want to watch it, it's on SNY. Gary, Keith, and Ron. If you want to listen to it, it's on Odyssey, 880 AM with our friend Keith Rad, friend of the show, and, of course, the great Howie Rose right next to him. It's always good. I love listening to baseball on the radio. I wish they would figure out a way to do it, and they have. It just doesn't work. Where you could sit in your seat and listen to the game. Because if you're somebody, if you're a tennis, I don't know if you're tennis fans out there or not, but at the U.S. Open, when you get those earpieces and you get the television broadcast, it's fantastic, fantastic. And I do that every time. You show them your American Express card or something. They give you the headphone thing for free. I think it's for free, and you go in there and you get the game and in your ear. And if they can figure that out for baseball, and I know they can because they have a way, there's a website, it just doesn't work because you got 45,000 people on the Wi-Fi. So it doesn't work. And to me, they should very easily be able to figure that out. And I don't know why they don't. But let's see. That's going to pretty much do it for us. Hey, don't be shy, guys. Call in. Look, I got this whole nice QR code. I got it all set up, and nobody called in. So listen, tonight after the game, hopefully we get some things going. Hopefully there is a lot to talk about, and we'll get some people to call in. So if you go into the game, I'll see you out there. If you run into me, say hello. As always, don't forget, if you're listening, rate, review, and subscribe. Join us, like us on all the social medias. They're up there right above over here, actually, above my head. That we are on anywhere you get your podcast. If you want to know the links to follow us, go to lockedupsports.com/follow. YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, podcasts, wherever you go, we're all over the place. Just type in Locked Up Sports. We come up. Don't stress yourself out. So too much information I'm giving you. So that's going to do it for us. I'll see you out at the ballpark. Enjoy the game, everybody. From the Brian Gunzel Studios, I am Bob Walters. See ya.